Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. One of the greatest responsibilities of a parent is not simply teaching a child about Allah, but teaching them who Allah is. The image of Allah that forms in a child's heart during the early years often stays with them for the rest of their lives. That is why we must be extremely careful about the words we use when speaking about our Creator. Unfortunately, many children grow up hearing statements like, "Don't do that, Allah will be angry." "If you don't listen, Allah will punish you." "Allah is watching you." Sometimes these words are said with good intentions. Parents want their children to behave. They want quick obedience. But when these words are repeated every day, something unexpected happens. Instead of loving Allah, the child begins to fear Him in an unhealthy way. Instead of running toward Allah, they begin to associate His name with anxiety. The lecture emphasizes that during the early years of childhood, this is not the approach we should take. Young children are still discovering the world. They are naturally innocent. They are learning through imagination, curiosity, and love. At this stage, they need to know Allah as the one who loves them, blesses them, and cares for them. The speaker explains that before the age of 7, children should not constantly hear about punishment or divine anger. Their relationship with Allah should first be built upon love and security. This does not mean children should never learn right from wrong. It means the method matters. Correct their behavior, but don't make Allah appear frightening. For example, instead of saying, "Allah will be angry if you don't pray," teach them, "Allah loves when we remember Him." Instead of saying, "If you make mistakes, Allah will punish you," help them understand that Allah loves goodness and kindness. The goal is not merely obedience. The goal is attachment. Children naturally move toward the things they love. When Allah becomes beloved to them, worship becomes easier. Another important point discussed in the lecture is understanding how children think during their early years. Adults often assume children understand everything the same way they do, but they don't. The speaker explains that young children live in a world of imagination. Their minds are still developing. They do not process abstract concepts in the same way older children and adults do. Because of this, harsh religious language can leave a much deeper impression than parents realize. A child may genuinely begin believing that Allah is always angry, that every mistake means rejection, that Allah is waiting to punish them. This is not the relationship we want them to build. The lecture shares a powerful example. Sometimes adults repeatedly tell children, "Don't do this, Allah will become angry." "Don't do that, Allah will become angry." Imagine hearing that every day. Eventually, a child may conclude that Allah is someone they want to stay away from. The speaker recalls an example of a little girl who said she did not want Allah to come into her home because everyone kept telling her that Allah was angry with her. Think about how heartbreaking that is. The problem wasn't the child. The problem was the way Allah had been introduced to her. This is why our words matter. Every sentence we repeat becomes part of our child's understanding of faith. The lecture encourages parents to spend the first 7 years planting love. Love for Allah, love for the Prophet, love for goodness, love for worship, love for kindness. Love creates willingness. Fear alone creates distance. Another beautiful point mentioned is how to teach Salah. Many parents become worried when their children are still very young. They keep asking, "When should my child start praying?" But before asking when a child should pray, perhaps we should ask another question. Does my child love Salah? Because there is a difference between forcing a child to perform an action and helping them love that action. According to the lecture, before the age of 7, the focus should be on introducing Salah with warmth. Let children watch you pray. Invite them to stand beside you if they wish. Allow them to imitate you. Smile when they try. Encourage them gently. The objective is familiarity. When Salah becomes a normal and beautiful part of everyday life, children naturally become curious. The lecture also suggests using creative methods. Every parent has opportunities throughout the day to remind children about Allah. You don't need a classroom. You don't need expensive resources. You simply need consistency. Choose one short teaching. Repeat it throughout the week. Create a simple tune. Repeat it while driving. Repeat it while cooking. Repeat it while walking together. Children remember what they hear repeatedly. Faith enters the heart gradually. The speaker also reminds mothers that storytelling is one of the most effective ways to teach children. Children naturally connect with stories. If you want them to love Salah, tell them beautiful stories connected to prayer. If you want them to remember an Islamic teaching, present it in a way that captures their imagination. The lesson is not to overwhelm children with information. The lesson is to make faith enjoyable. Parents often believe they must complete everything quickly, but successful tarbiyah is never rushed. Teach one lesson, allow it to settle, then move to the next. This gradual approach is repeated throughout the lecture. Islamic upbringing is not about pressure, it is about consistency. As parents, we should also remember that children notice our own attitude toward worship. If prayer feels like a burden to us, children will notice. If we constantly delay it, complain about it, or rush through it, they notice that as well. Long before they understand our words, they understand our behavior. If they see peace in our prayer, gratitude after our prayer, and happiness in remembering Allah, those feelings become connected to worship in their own minds. Children imitate emotions before they imitate actions. The lecture then explains that after the age of 7, parenting gradually changes. By this age, children are becoming more mature. They are able to understand responsibility more clearly. This is when parents can slowly become more serious about encouraging acts of worship. Notice the word slowly, not suddenly, not harshly, not with anger, but gradually. The first 7 years build love. The years that follow begin building responsibility upon that love. When love comes first, responsibility becomes easier to accept. The greatest success is not raising children who pray because they are afraid of punishment. The greatest success is raising children who stand before Allah because they genuinely want to be close to Him. That is the kind of relationship every parent should hope to build. May Allah place His love in the hearts of our children, make worship beloved to them, and allow us to introduce Him to them with wisdom, mercy, and compassion. Ameen.